Hello, everyone. I'm here today with my friend Rose, with whom I've worked often as she's been the director sometimes of our Living Wisdom School play. And my hobby has been to make the costumes for those productions. So we've had a lot of creative times together. Nice to have you here, Rose.
Nice to be here.
Rose, I would like you to share with everyone who's listening. Um, can you tell us a little bit about who you were before you became a disciple? How did you grow up? What kind of a child you were? What were you thinking about?
My story is a little bit unusual because I actually can't remember a time when I didn't just have a love for Yogananda. The year I was born, my family joined Ocean Song.
Mhm.
It was one of the Ananda communities in the 80s in Sonoma County. And um, And so as a little girl, I remember I would come in for the festival and I would dance in the back, and I would come in for all the music, and I would come in for the story of the little bird. And I was surprised that they told that story every time. I was like, they don't ever tell different stories, but I love this story, you know. And my parents were just, pretty hands off. Just come when you want, don't when you want. And it was a natural joy and enthusiasm for the music and the vibration of Master and Swami. So sometimes I think about my life and my karma, and I think, wow, my spiritual karma might have been even stronger as a child. Like it just was easy and open. Um, and I took discipleship when I was 13.
Hmm. What were you thinking when you were 13 that made that seem like a good idea?
Well, um, I remember thinking Sunday service was my favorite part of my week as a 13-year-old.
Hmm.
But I went to a public school where there were gang fights in the bathrooms, and there was nothing. There was a world that seemed devoid of joyful, uplifting light, and then there was Ananda. And I I just remember going there when I was younger. My family would visit, and I felt like I was on sacred land. I just remember touching the land and just wanting to put my head on the land. And I would have dreams about Ananda Village, Pebble Pond. I would have dreams about Pebble Pond, and that I should and that I should go there. And then I did. I moved there to the high school when I was 14.
So when you took discipleship, did you have a very strong feeling of master as my own? How did you regard him as a 13-year-old like that?
Yeah, as my own. Yeah.
How very sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
don't.
I
Okay.
I just I can't remember a time when I didn't feel that, because I don't remember consciously choosing it. It was just like the air flows into a room, like it just was.
When you were a small child, did you meet Swami Kriyananda? What's your earliest memory of meeting Swami Kriyananda?
My earliest memory of not a personal conversation, but just seeing him at the Hermitage. And I remember going into a talk he was giving in the dome.
Hmm.
And I remember rainbows. That's actually what I remember. I don't know if I actually saw them or if I felt them, but my memory of that experience was the room was full of rainbow light, and um, and it was a very sacred young. I can't remember how old I was.
Were you
Um,
6 or were you 12? I mean, which age?
Somewhere between 6 and 12, probably maybe 10, maybe 11.
Mhm.
Um, and I have no idea what he said or what it was about or who was there. The room was packed, and the vibration was rainbow light.
That's,
That's
that's well, I'll ask you in a few minutes, but you also mentioned that you really love the music. I mean, I happen to know that you sing well. Did you start singing Swami's music when you were a child?
Yeah. Um, when I moved, let's see. Yeah, my mom taught me harmonium when I was maybe 10. So I remember learning chants
Mhm.
young. And my dad would sing to me Swami songs as bedtime songs every night, and tells me Swami stories from autobiography. And I would go to sleep with that in my consciousness. And when I moved to the village when I was 13, I was really homesick. I knew it was right, but it was also really hard.
Mhm.
And so I would go to sleep with Swami's Some of My Favorites album
Mhm.
almost every night. And so people ask me why I know the words to all his songs. It's because it was really deeply ingrained.
What was the attraction of the music to you at such a young age? It's not the kind of music that children or young people are often drawn to. Why were you drawn to it?
Um, I it was from love. I think that I loved. Um, and it's so interesting because my karma has gone through so many, I feel like I've gone through so many lifetimes in one lifetime.
Mhm.
But how I think about that time was that I just I loved Swami and Master, and I could feel their love. And I think I was extremely sensitive as a child, and probably still am, though I've learned uh, not to be such a sponge. But when I was younger, I used to go in a grocery store, and if there was loud rap or metal music playing,
Mhm.
I would almost viscerally feel um, ill. Like it would affect me. Music would affect me very strongly. I couldn't be around negative, heavy music.
Mhm.
And so Swami's and Master's music, you have this little girl sponge who's super sensitive. I just wanted to absorb it as much as I possibly could because the vibration was love.
That's really wonderful. So at 13, you went to high school in Ananda Village. So you left Sonoma County, where your parents were still in Sonoma County. But
Yeah.
so where did you live when you were there? Was there a dormitory at that time? Or what did they?
Yeah. Now it's Chandi House, but it was the girls' dorm. And
And
that's where
you said you were homesick. Was the rest of the experience of being in high school, was it good for you or was it a challenging time?
I was homesick for the first fall semester. And once I had my first Christmas at Ananda Village, the homesickness pretty much dissipated. I knew it was just it became another home,
Another home.
Ananda Village. And then my sophomore, my junior, my junior year in high school, we spent half the year in Italy. I became the only high school student for part of that time.
Uh-huh.
We traveled the oratorio with Swami through Italy. He gave satsangs every Saturday, and I still think of it as the best year of my life.
So you were on the concert tour when I was on that tour too.
Yeah.
We went from city to city, and so did you feel out of place because you were so young, or did you just fit in with the flow of things?
I felt like I fit in. I remember everybody going on the bus together with Swami or doing, other events. And we would travel by bus and train to get places on our shoestrings and stay in
Oh,
strange youth hostels. I remember feeling like I wished I had been with everyone even more,
yes.
but I didn't feel like a teenager.
Yeah,
I just felt like I was with a family.
that's fabulous. So after what else was meaningful about that semester in Italy all of a sudden? How did it change you?
Um, I've heard you say this before that, let's see, sometimes fulfilling a deep desire, but on a beautiful, spiritual, elevated level is almost more. I'm not going to say it right, but all my desires, I think I had happy past lives in Italy.
Uh-huh.
I loved singing. So I was singing this exquisitely beautiful oratorio in these amazing churches all over Italy with Swami in the front row, loving me, loving everyone. It wasn't personal love, but like unconditionally loving me. And I mean, it was every desire I had
Uh-huh.
fulfilled in this just seamlessly beautiful, uplifted way. Um, I don't know how to describe it.
You did. Okay.
Okay, I did. Yeah, it was amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So then when that semester's over and you come back to Ananda Village, did things go better? I mean, did the power of that experience lift you, or was the contrast painful, or what happened after that?
My karma changed. So what happened was, I remember having my first astrological reading that year with Drupada, and he said, you're about to go into Rahu. Your karma's going to change. You're going to be more in the world. And I said, oh, no. And he said, yeah, but it's good because you have to develop a sun. You're like a moon. You absorb everything. We put you in Ananda, you absorb Ananda. We put you in Harlem, you absorb Harlem. What are you? Where's your sun? And I remember thinking, okay, whatever. I just want to stay in Ananda. But I'm not. So the school didn't happen my senior year. There was no Ananda school. I moved back to Santa Rosa, and I moved in with Michael and Anne, who had just left Ananda and were creating a pole star community in Santa Rosa. And that made sense because I was from Santa Rosa and my mom was still there. But it was interesting, my dad and I, he's an ancient soul friend. He's my best friend on this planet. And we traded places. So when I moved back to Santa Rosa, he finally moved to the village. All that said, I don't know why I was saying that.
You said you moved in with Anne and Michael Gornick, who are longtime disciples of Master, who founded a couple of other communities. So they were starting a community. So you really had a landing place. You didn't have to be, you're still with family. But did you have to go back to public high school then?
I did a charter school online and started taking classes at a junior college. So I was
skipped out of that whole senior year. You didn't have to go back into that really uncongenial environment.
But even the junior college compared to oratorio tour with Swami was really jolting for me. It was really lonely.
Yeah. So then you eventually though went on to college. Where did you go to college?
Well, I went to UC Santa Cruz.
And I know, but just for the sake of the question, what was your interest? What did you do when you were there?
Well, in the junior college, it was hard to relate to almost anyone. My first couple of years, I felt really shy. I felt really different. But I started taking theater classes because I remembered that was something I had loved as a child. And I fell in love with it and the community that it presented. Theater is a community. And in theater classes, you had a chance to be really authentic, where people, there's actually a lot of shallowness in the theater arts as well, and unhealthy egos. But there can be moments where people are really honest about who they are and bravely vulnerable. And that interested me because I wanted to know who I was, and I wanted to know all parts of me and how to feel really integrated. And theater was like free therapy. Like you get to try on, okay, what does it feel like to be a waitress? What does it feel like to be a monk? What does it feel like to be a dancer? In theater, you get to try on lots of different parts and play with who am I? What are all the parts of me? So I wasn't going to major in theater, but I had done so much undergrad credits in it, and it was so much fun that I thought, well, why not? I mean, just get my undergrad done doing that. And so that's what I continued.
So where did Master fit into the time when you were in college? How did being a disciple cooperate or contradict what you were doing?
It was hard because this whole other world, how to be in the worldly energy, was coming into my life, and the samskars of performance, and it was hard for me to hold both. And so my spiritual life sort of, by the time I got to UC Santa Cruz, I remember it was the first time in my life sharing a dorm with someone in that way that I didn't have an altar in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, right before I went to college, Swami asked me if I'd go on the choir tour. He had a small group go back to Italy and share his music throughout Italy for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Will you go on this?" And I said, "No, I'm going to college." And he said, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
And my energy, it was like he's like, "Okay, I'll let you do what you want to do."
Mm-hmm.
And I consciously disconnected from that opportunity or ray. And at the very end of college, my last semester, he said, "Will you come do the peace treaty?" Or Devaki said, "Will you come do the peace treaty?" Which is a play that he wrote. "Will you come do this play at Ananda Village?" And I said, no, I don't have a car. I live in Santa Cruz, and Ananda Village is like 5 hours away. I don't know how I could do that. And she asked again. I said no. And then she said, "Swami asks if you'll do this play." He says, "Please, it's for my birthday. Please, it's my birthday." And I said, "Okay, wow, Swami's asking me to do this play. I better think about this for a minute." And to be honest, I was a little sponge girl, and I was out of the vibration. And and a lot of, you know, college is a very United States higher education system. God is almost like a negative word. I mean, there's no place for it. And if you have a place for it, it's not respected. It's seen as being ignorant or stupid. You know, why would you believe in that? People don't understand that the science of yoga is a spiritual science. It's not just based on some man in the sky, right? But I went through a lot of questioning of my spiritual beliefs and of Ananda in that time.
So what? So you did do the play in the end, didn't you?
I did.
So how? I mean, you've made much of your life with Ananda since graduating from college. So how did you find your way back?
Well, I said, okay, I trust Swami, because I had begun to doubt Swami. A lot of things had happened through Ananda, and so I was going through my own process about who Swami was to me and how that fit into my life, and I wasn't sure. And so, you know, but this was all coming from a mental place. As a child, there was a room full of rainbows. There's no, you know, your heart's fully open, right? I'm in college. I'm like, who is this Swami? What is this Ananda? It was my karma was showing a different aspect of my learning. So, so coming back to your question. So I said, okay, my heart trusts Swami to really stop and consider this, but I don't know if Ananda is my life at this point. So I'm gonna do this, even though if I commit to doing the peace treaty, the performance was the same week as my senior seminars and my finals. I had no car. I would have to take trains to get there. It was not going to be an easy thing to commit to do the peace treaty and graduate at the same time. I had been cast in another show. There were conflicting schedules. I mean, I should have just said no, but Swami asked me, and he said, "Please, it's my birthday." And I said, okay, I trust this man enough to know that I really have to look at this.
So when you came back for the peace treaty, I mean, just to move a little bit ahead.
Yes.
So you did graduate from college and you did do the performance. And you came back to live at Ananda at a certain point. What drew you back to live there again?
Well, it was the process of that performance. I made a deal with Divine Mother. I said, okay, I'm going to do this play, even though it makes no sense. But if it's a disaster and I can't graduate and things go poorly, I'm not coming back to Ananda. And if it goes well and everything goes well and I put my unrealistic trust in Swami Ananda and good things happen, even though it makes no sense, then I will. Then I will give it a try. And I could tell you that story because it's cool, and it's not cool. It's life changing. So I guess we could go there. Unless you want to go, I'll just go there. So we did the rehearsals. I remember I was doing rehearsals at UC Santa Cruz where my director was like, yes, but more. I don't think I'll share it in this context. It was very worldly. It was very, egotistic theater feedback. And then I would go do rehearsals with Devaki, and she'd say, yes, but more from your spine. Yes, but from an uplifted, peaceful state of consciousness. And Swami was drawing me back into Ananda through the one thing in my life, which was theater. So he began to share the teachings with me again through theater. You can't plan these things. Amazing, right? So I do the performance at Ananda. It's nice. It's good. I go back home. I'm starting to get kind of sick. I'd been pushing myself. I was exhausted. I was like, man, I'm getting sick. I have a paper to write, and I have 3 days to write this paper. I'm getting sick. So I went to bed. And I woke up the next morning totally well. I was not a morning person. 7 o'clock, I woke up joyful, well, vibrant. And right after I woke up, Davy called. And Davy said, Rose, Swami wants to see you in Palo Alto today. And I said, Davy, I have 2 days to write my senior paper. I haven't given it any attention because I was at Ananda doing the peace treaty. I graduate or not on this paper. She said, I said, and I'm in Santa Cruz. I'd have to come to Palo Alto. She said, I said, what would you do? And she said, I would come. And I said, okay. So I came and I sat in your apartment that time, and we had lunch. And I thought, what am I doing here with all these light bearers and these spiritual giants? What am I doing at this table? And I remember feeling insignificant or something like that. And I remember we were all, you guys were talking about something else, and Swami looked at me and he said, God's love for us is unconditional. He wants nothing in return. And I just remember thinking that just came to the heart of, why are you here? You don't deserve this. You haven't been giving to God. It was Rose, God's love for you is unconditional. You go to theater school, you go to Ananda, you leave for 10,000 years. God's love for you is unconditional. He wants nothing in return. But if you choose to love him in return, what bounty is yours? What's possible? And then he asked me to come upstairs, and he gave me spiritual advice, but he gave me advice in the form of giving it to my character. So he said, okay, your character should do this, Rose, and your character should do this, and you should be this, and you should do this. It was like a director giving me advice, but it was lifetime spiritual advice for me, but through a director, And then I started to get emotional, which I do. I'm a very emotional person. I started to cry, and he just went here. He said, bring it here. Yes, feel. Yes, open your heart, but bring it here. That's your salvation. And he left, and he got on a plane, and I came back to Ananda. And since then, I've been honestly trying to merge two very different worlds. The world of the experiences I had being in the world, creating a son. Now I can go into a store and hear loud music, and I'm not negatively affected. But I don't know. I think so. These profound blessings, these profound experiences, I'm here. But I've had to work with a lot of other karmas that aren't here. And
Mhm.
it hasn't been an easy journey,
Mhm.
but it's an awesome journey
Mhm.
because when I get it, I'll really know. And I'll know how to help people who haven't always been here. And I'll know how to share the teachings from what I really know.
So,
And
what
sorry.
what does it mean to you then to be a disciple? How would you define in your heart what it means to be a disciple of Master then?
Faith is the proof of things unseen.
Uh-huh.
So um, the fact that I can't prove. Let's see. The proof of God's love is the fact that even though I can't feel it or touch it, or even though I can't touch it or see it, it's there. And no matter what I do, it's there. And that faith is the proof of his love, and that's real, and that's the realest thing in my life. And no matter where I go or where my karma takes me, to keep coming back to that love.
And how do you live that? How does that inform the way you live?
To continue to keep identifying myself not by my mistakes, but as a child of God. That's what Swami did to us. He saw us as our highest potential
Mhm.
repeatedly.
Mhm.
And that's what he did to me that day.
Mhm.
And I forget, okay, I'm this thing that I do.
Mhm.
I'm the way these people see me.
Mhm.
I'm this failure, I'm this accomplishment, but it's none of that. It's I'm a child of God.
Mhm.
If I get out of the way, if I dissolve this false sense of separation, love can flow through me. That's why we're here.
So is that would you call that your daily sadhana then? To-
No, I mean, meditation. So I try to meditate every day and do Kriya yoga. I try to move my body,
uh-huh.
so that, because I've noticed, you know, thought patterns are not just in my mind; they're in my whole body.
Right.
So that's been new to me.
Uh-huh.
Really moving my body to change my consciousness and my thoughts. It's all connected. Affirmation, really paying attention to my thoughts all day long, because I can go and meditate and then think really negative thoughts all day long and it just doesn't work out. So
Uh-huh.
my meditation has to be connected to my affirmation throughout the day. And I don't always accomplish this. I mean, I feel like I fall short, but being a disciple is continuing to try. It's just continuing to be willing to raise my energy.
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Thank you, Rose. That was very interesting. What a remarkable experience with Swamiji. Calling you back into things like that and taking. I do remember that day when you came up from Santa Cruz because he was staying in our house at that point. And I
Mm.
remember, he insisted that you come. I mean, you weren't talking in private, so what you just told me now is more than I knew. But what a great blessing you've had in your life. Thank you so much for sharing with
Thank
us.
you.
Wonderful to hear.